2018, a crack YouTube unit was sent to social media prison by an algorithm for the crime they didn't commit. These producers promptly escaped from maximum security social media stockade to the internet underground. Today, still wanted by social media, they survive as producers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the Smash Team.
All right, we're going to blast through. Looking at the sun on 193 angstroms is the last 7.5 hours. We see 0 sunspots, 10.7 centimeter radial flux back up to 68 solar flux units, and a large equatorial coronal hole entering the Earth-facing region, increasing earthquake risk. We're looking for a 180-degree phi angle connection to that. Let's look at some more views of the sun here. Look at 171 angstroms as well. A little bit of activity rising there in the east. That is a plage, not a sunspot. A little bit of filamentary activity down there in the southeast. Let's look at 304 angstroms, as I haven't looked at this one myself yet today. And squee to you too, Harry. Anyway, there's a 304 angstroms view. Again, 7.5 hours of solar activity. We're going to talk Terminators and fake news and nonsense and all kinds of stuff. Phi angle currently at 281 degrees. Saw a recent uptick in solar wind density. It's been all the way up to 16 protons, but right now we're at more like 4 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed flat here in the mid 300s, around 350. 365, 365 kilometers per second. Here's where planets are in the solar system, Milky Way galaxy team for the win. There's where they'll be on August 1st. We'll look at stereo A's coronagraph here. There is a plasma plume emanating from that active region, rising in the eastern portion of the sun, just behind that coronal hole. So this will be something to look at here throughout the next week or so. It is Earth-facing, but there is no coronal mass ejection component to it as of yet. Keep in mind, we don't need X-ray flares for coronal mass ejections. They can happen spontaneously just through magnetic activity. Next, we'll look at magnetosphere movies. First, the density. Which is at a much more nominal range now. Low density shown in white, high density shown in dark blue on this University of Michigan geospace model. Here's the pressure. And no, Nibiru is not in between the Earth and the outer solar system. Anyway, that's 4 hours of data. We like to archive that each day on the daily space weather videos. Thanks for taking the time to leave comments, everybody. For that, we thank you. Next, we'll look at the ground geospace magnetic perturbations. We don't expect there to be too much going on, but due to the polar excursion that's currently happening on the planet, we look at it every day anyway. As the South Pole creeps into the Indian Ocean west of Australia, we have 2 North Poles, one over Canada, one over Siberia. Here's what's going on above my head. Check out in-the-sky.org to make your own sky map. The moon still yet to reach its apex. There's the ecliptic. I like to face mine to the south. Couch faces that way. If you're interested in the smAsho mission, doing stuff like supporting the channel, we've got links to the smAsho mission now. As I screwed around with smashomash.com a little bit yesterday, and I created a forum note. So links to the smAsho mission, which is to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of unified theory of physics, to raise awareness of the general public between space weather and Earth effects, to connect and consult with media organizations, to demonstrate cutting-edge proof-of-concept solutions to problems, to publish scientific papers in a multidisciplinary fashion, to assist the humans in advancing the study of predictive phenomenon, and to not be ossified in our beliefs. So anyway, again, click the links in the description below the video. Support the channel via Patreon. The only tier right now is $1, so open up your dust-filled wallet, send $1, or perhaps if you don't like Patreon, support us on PayPal. Links in the description for that also. Also, links down there to the Hemp Lucid Spaced Out campaign for those of our spaced out viewers who are in the market for CBD products. Check that out. Everything from waxes to certified THC-free products to whole plant CBD suspensions, whether you're doing the drip vape or the hemp seed oil suspension or the MCT oil suspension or the faster absorbing water soluble Hemp Lucid Spaced Out campaign. Links below the video. Also check out the veloshop.net, official bike shop of the Lehigh Valley Velodrome, especially if you're in the market for a bike. $225 bike fit thrown in with the purchase of any bike at the Velo Shop. Also, the original music is also linked in the description below the video, such as soundclick.com/goldencatproductions, as well as the SoundCloud page. So check that stuff out. One other note, I would note that Dr. Steelshank has been all the way up to number 26. So go give this one a stream and perhaps get our track higher on the list. It's instrumental rock, folks. Most of our tracks are instrumental. And let's get back to space via spaceweather.com. Hit refresh on that. And again, 10.7 centimeter radial flux is actually at 68 right now. Look for that to be updated on spaceweather.com today. X-ray flux is totally flatlined. As you can see there, there's a 3-day plot and a 6-hour plot. Everything just at background levels. Electron flux, similar to yesterday. Nothing to write home about there. Let's look at the LASCO C3 as we've been doing recently as Venus gets in the position to swing around to the backside of the sun. Let that play through. Here's the ghost magnetometer data. Looking like it's in a pretty normal range there. Nothing to write home about there. F2 layer is looking pretty discharged. Actually, pretty normal there. Nothing really too exciting. Let's load the animation for the last 6 hours here, just to show you the way this thing operates. And there's the last 6 hours of the F2 layer. The F2 layer is the portion of the ionosphere that only occurs in the daytime, as the F2 layer turns into the F layer. We don't have double, triple, quadruple layers at nighttime, unless there's something real weird going on in the ionosphere. Looks for a cold day in Antarctica, a cold day. Here's the Gong 2 top view ecliptic plane field plot. There is some activity rising. We see possible sunspots here, although it's probably just this active region, this plage that's coming into view now from Earth. So watch for the magnetic environment to change without warning as it does that. And this data is 1 hour and 48 minutes old. No real predictions there. Although the forecast for the ghost magnetometer is that it's going to remain in a fairly tight range. No big striations expected in that. Follow us on Instagram if you like. See some behind the scenes stuff, such as this clip.
Here's a better one. Yeah. What happens now? This. Now go on, get the.
Also, we talk about stocks sometimes, like yesterday. Now, yesterday early in the morning, A bunch of tech stocks were getting hit, such as Apple, Amazon. This one is, damn, I don't know what that one is. Probably Twitter. And there's Facebook. Ouch. Apparently also Mark Zuckerberg is sponsoring an Area 51 raid to free his dad from captivity. And there's Google getting hit also. Dear Google, screw you. Transcribe that. Also follow us on places like Feces Book. That's facebook.com/smAsho. Some of the worst software on the internet. Also on Twitter, another place where you can get shadow banned, censored, and depersoned. And what about Gab? I think it's Gab. Is it Gab? Is it going to load? I don't know. Anyway, check us out at gabs.com/smAsho. Gab.com/smAsho. Also, minds.com, the future of social media. Check out our thumbnail from yesterday. Minds.com/smAsho, the future of social media. It's open source. It's got 470,000 views already with only 704 subscribers. Minds.com, it's open source. It won't censor you. It won't shadow ban you. It won't do anything that it's not supposed to do. And if you enjoy the content on YouTube, please press like and subscribe, and please share on your social media. Please leave a comment. Next, we'll look at earthquakes. And we'll run down through it as quickly as we can. 4.5 at Papua New Guinea. That one's nearly at 100 kilometers depth. Heads up there for a larger quake at the surface, especially with that coronal hole rising on the sun. As coronal hole magnetic connections producing a phi angle of around 180 degrees are known to be associated with earthquakes also. Another deep quake west of the Andes, central South America there, west central South America. Western South America, you should be on alert for a large quake as you've been getting deep quakes and a coronal hole is rotating into face the earth. 4.6 at Guam, 5.1 at Indonesia, 4.6 at Argentina. That one's also at depth. Again, heads up for a larger quake. 4.6 at Taiwan. Here's a 4.9 at the central mid-Atlantic ridge. That one located in between Africa and South America. Here's a 4.3 at Chile, also at depth. There's two deep quakes right there, right next to each other. 5.2 at the central Atlantic ridge. That one northwest of the previous one. They're moving toward me, folks. California continues to get hit with thousands of aftershocks following a 7.1 quake over the China Lake Naval Weapons Test Facility. 4.1 at Turkey. Here's a 5.0 at Japan. Largest one there for a while, although Japan probably shrugged it off due to their well-conceived building codes. Now we're going to cover a 3 for once here. We see a 6.2 kilometer deep quake here at Hawaii. I'll just show you the location of this one real quick. That one located in the Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. And let's get back to the list. That one only occurred about 4 hours ago, folks. 5 hours ago. Here's a 4.0 at Kingfisher, Oklahoma. Largest quake we've seen there for a while, as well as a couple of aftershocks following that. Let's look at the location of that, as we don't get very many quakes of a 4+ magnitude in the U.S. There's a location of that, just northwest of Oklahoma City. Please leave a comment if you felt that quake. American viewers. Or if you're not an American viewer and you felt that quake. Or if you just want to leave a comment to maybe leave some death threats. We don't mind. We shrug those off. Here's the jet streams. As you can see, the northern jet stream is barely a jet stream, and it's governed by convective flows. people are going to freak out about the fact that it's warm up here as the jet stream pulls warm air from equatorial regions. Are they going to freak out about the fact that it's cold down here? Nope. Mainstream media is going to keep telling you that it's warm. Here's a southern hemisphere jet stream looking a little more organized, but also quite meridional in its flow. Normally the jet stream flows in a pretty smooth pattern where the winds just travel from west to east. But right now, the jet stream is so jacked up, we have portions of it that are going backwards, such as right here over central Canada, where the primary wind at 25,000 feet of altitude is traveling east to west instead of west to east. The mainstream media is going to try to tell you that CO2 causes that. And that's pretty sad. Here's the pressure map, courtesy windy.com. Check out their mobile app also. US Doppler radar showing serious Sasquatch farts. Central Texas, as well as Kentucky. Here's one in Virginia, as well as in North Carolina. So it looks like there's a lot of Sasquatch activity going on. Let's check out some anecdotal reports. Thanks, Anthony, for sending me this email. Now, I haven't vetted this, folks. I'm not sure if this stuff's legit or not. Here's something. This could be a Sasquatch portal. I'm not totally sure. It looks like a ring made out of wood. Please leave a comment if you see a Sasquatch travel through one of those. Here's a photograph of a Sasquatch or possibly a dead tree. Again, I haven't vetted these photos. Thanks again, Anthony, for sending them in. Here's a Bigfoot portal, and it says Fallout. I don't know why. I'm pretty sure this is from the TV show Stargate, featuring Richard Dean Anderson of MacGyver fame. And this image of some hands squeezing an earth into a rugby ball shape for some reason. Thanks again, Anthony. Check out lightningmaps.org. And if you're on a raft between Cuba and the US right now, it looks like smooth sailing. We're going to show you the water vapor map real quick to see if we see any evidence of Sasquatches gating into our plane of existence from a different plane of existence. Just kidding, folks. I don't believe in that stuff. And I don't know why it's not working. There we go. I just got to press it 6 times and bear down on the button for no reason. How many clicks register? 1 out of 5. Anyway, there's a U.S. water vapor map, courtesy NASA GOES interactive weather satellites. Looks like most of the U.S. is getting a respite from the severe weather, and for that, we thank you. Volcano rundown. Explosive activity continues at Tucono, where it's producing a 7,000-foot ash plume. Volcanic ash emissions observed in webcam at Popocatépetl. That's in central Mexico, near Mexico City. Revenador exploding and producing a discrete volcanic ash emission to only 14,000 feet of altitude. Sabancaya producing a 23,000-foot ash plume there via some explosive activity. And lastly, another Peruvian volcano, Ubinas, exploding, producing a 23,000-foot ash plume. Please do not attempt to do a trip over that. If you do, you may not differentiate between your ass and a hole in the ground. You're big tech, and that means Facebook and Google mainly, but also Twitter and Apple and all kinds of other big tech companies like YouTube, which is owned by Google, which is the world's largest and most biased search engine. You know what the second largest search engine in the world is, folks? YouTube. Also owned by Google. Anyway, big tech. You can't break the internet, but the internet can break you. Watch it. Watch it happen. Let's talk about the term nucleate. Nucleate. It means to form into a nucleus or cluster, to act as a nucleus for, to supply nuclei to to begin to form, etc. Would you like to know how clouds
nucleate?
Well, I'd be happy to tell you. They nucleate on things like aerosols and dust particles, and they do that typically on ionization pathways, and that's caused by cosmic ray flux. Now, let's not spend too much time trying to
Undergird
the actual reality of atmospheric science and move on to atmospheric nonsense. This article from Cosmos magazine, linked in the description, recent warming unmatched in the past 2,000 years. We won't read anything else from this, but we do have links in the description if you'd like to lose an IQ point reading this nonsense, which doesn't mention low clouds or cosmic rays or the Earth's albedo effect. So, another clueless article about, quote, climate science, end quote. Let's look at the last 15,000 years of climate change. Here's what idiots will call the Anthropocene. See that little uptick right there? They're claiming that's man-made climate change. You see that little tiny uptick that you can barely see? That's caused by your carbon dioxide emissions, according to mainstream, quote, science, end quote. How many SUVs were around back here at 12,000 years ago? How many SUVs? Dear AOC, do you think it was the airplane that caused this warming? Do you think it was carbon dioxide? What do you think caused all this sudden colding, folks? What do you think caused that? We won't get into it. Let's talk about YouTube and Science Alert, talking about conspiracy theorists who are hijacking the climate change concept. Somebody's real mad that folks are starting to understand the actual science and debunking all this CO2 nonsense. Links to this article also. We won't spend any more time wasting our lives. Also, if you really want to waste your life, go to phys.org's Earth section. Oh yeah, phys.org/earth-news. You want to see a bunch of crap? I look at it nearly every day, and I don't cover any of the crap. Europe setting record heat wave to spike even higher. Shrinking glaciers and rock falls point to climate change in Alps. Alpine climbing routes crumble as climate change strikes. Tokyo Olympic construct. New study identifies causes of multi-decadal climate changes. The climate is warming faster than it has in the past 2,000 years. Climate change could revival. Anyway, the point of all of these articles is global warming, global warming, global warming, global warming, global warming, global warming. We had record snow in the 2017 to 2018 winter in the Northern Hemisphere. We had record snow in the 2018 to 2019 winter in the Northern Hemisphere. Then we had record snow melt. What a surprise. Record flooding, record rain last year in the US, and we're on pace to get record rain in the US this year. All of these things are caused by cold, not heat, and we won't even go into it any further than that because it's such nonsense and I find it icky to even touch on these articles. How about sun terminators? Apparently there's some phenomenon in the sun that could reveal the transition between solar cycles. We're talking about bright points that first appear at higher latitudes than the sunspots. Plages, plages, they're kind of important. Now we've seen some reverse polarity plages, and I'm not so sure that this stuff is accurate, but it does appear to be something perhaps rooted in real science. So anyway, the bright points appear at higher latitudes and they migrate toward the equator at approximately 3 degrees of latitude per year, something that we know sunspots do. And they reach the equator after a couple decades, and the paths traced by the bright points overlap with sunspot activity in the mid-latitudes. Then they both reach the equator and disappear, and that disappearance, which researchers call a terminator event, is followed very shortly with a large burst of bright point activity at the mid-latitudes, marking the beginning of the next sunspot cycle. Did we already watch this happen? Probably. Anyway, read the article. It's linked in the description also. And thanks again for tuning into the Smash stream, folks, as it is about time to get out of here, as if we've just recently done something that requires us to flee. No idea what that would be. I'm going to look at 7.5 hours of solar activity here in 94 angstroms. And we're going to read your comments. Sorry, folks, they're not going to appear on the screen today. But thanks for leaving them, as we do read all of them. Anyway, here's the sun at 94 angstroms. We see a little sprite happening there over the eastern region near that coronal hole. Let's see if we can get that. There's that sprite. It's a double. I'll zoom in on that for you. We like to feature these on our thumbnails. It's a double, folks. And now you're going to see some behind the scenes stuff, as you'll see how I create the thumbnails. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in, everybody. Get that back to playing. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Please don't forget to stare at the sun. Use the proper instruments. Such as the SDO, or perhaps a solar filter. And remember, when you're staring at the sun, not to drink. But if you drink, stare at the sun anyway, just don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your veins.